If I were to ask, what is common between a Stanley jug, a Labubu doll, a tulip, a house, gold, silver, you might be wondering, what am I asking you about? But all of them have a single undercurrent, the undercurrent of a human condition. Are we in a gold and silver bubble? Stay tuned. The human mind processes excitement, status, and belonging the same way, whether it's a collectible toy or a stock market trade. The brain doesn't label one as consumption and the other as investment. It only reacts to reward signals. That's why we move through identical stages: curiosity, social amplification, FOMO, the secondary craze, and cultural lock-in until this entire cycle will reset. The product changes, the platform changes, the psychology or the human condition seldom does. Let's go through this table to get a crisp view of our predicament, the human condition. The reason we need to watch financial asset bubbles more carefully than product hype is simple: unintended leverage. When a collectible like a Labubu doll gets hyped, the risk ends with the buyer. Prices may crash, collectors may lose money, but the broader system survives. But when a financial asset is hyped the same way and its value rests on paper promises, ETFs, receipts, or digital claims, the excitement gets multiplied by leverage. Each layer, borrowing and repledging, stretches the same underlying asset further and further, turning enthusiasm into a systemic exposure. So, while the Labubu bubble ends in regret, a paper-backed gold and silver bubble can end in contagion. Because the hype doesn't live in one market. It lives across banks, funds, and the very plumbing system of our entire financial system. Every century has its obsession, a spark that catches the imagination and rewrites what people think value means. In the 17th century, it was tulips. Rare colors, exotic bulbs, beauty from the East. A simple flower turned into a symbol of sophistication. One bloom became worth more than a house. The story was irresistible: rarity, prestige, and the promise of a quick fortune. Centuries later, the pattern repeats. Labubu, a tiny vinyl figure, and Prime, an energy drink, ignite modern curiosity the same way tulips once did. Not because of their function, but because of their story. Each becomes a cultural object that says, I am on it early. Social media magnifies the signal. Curiosity turns to validation. Validation turns to FOMO. People don't just buy a product, they buy participation into that moment. Then comes the same evolution that once gripped financial markets. In the 2000s, the subprime housing made home ownership feel like destiny. Everyone deserves a house became the moral of the boom. A demand surged, scarcity fed on itself, until paper contracts outnumbered the actual homes they represented. When the promise of easy wealth exceeded what reality could deliver, the story collapsed, just as tulips did 300 years earlier. And now, the cycle edges forward again, this time with gold and silver. Once anchors of stability, they have become symbols of safety in a world of uncertainty. Central banks hold them, investors trade them, retail buyers chase exposure through ETFs and digital claims. But the behavior feels familiar. Curiosity turns to conviction, conviction turns to community, and whenever that happens, the question isn't if belief will be tested, but when. Across time, the pattern never changes. Only the object of desire does. Tulips, toys, drinks, homes, metals, all start as something real and tangible. Then the human mind layers them with meaning, emotion, and status. What begins as discovery becomes hype. What starts as value becomes belief. And belief, when stretched too far, always circles back to reality. That's the rhythm of every bubble. Spark, amplification, FOMO, craze, culture, collapse and reset. The names change, but the psychology doesn't. Because while markets evolve, the human mind unfortunately doesn't.
While the undercurrent that is there between that of Labubu doll, the Stanley Cup, as well as gold and silver may be the same. However, for a bubble to burst in the markets, there needs to be something that happens structurally. We will focus on this structure in the next section. Stay tuned.